Well, they pulled it out at the end. Again, Mace here from Houston after the Broncos extended their winning streak to 6 with an 18-15 triumph over the Houston Texans, the shorthanded Houston Texans. Now, the Broncos were shorthanded, of course, playing this game without Marvin Mims Jr., Nate Adkins, and Pat Surtain II, and that did affect their defense early on. But then the Texans playing shorthanded, particularly without C.J. Stroud, who left the game in the first half due to a concussion. And make no mistake, that hindered what Houston could do on offense. And certainly the Broncos D affected without Surtain, but not as much as the Texans offense perhaps was without C.J. Stroud. The Broncos defense getting the better of it, came into the game with the best red zone defense in the NFL, leaves the game with the best red zone D in the NFL. That was really crucial because, as we've seen over the course of the season, Broncos clamping down in goal to go, in particular the Texans at the 1 yard line, at the 2 yard line, and the Broncos turning back the Texans. Certainly some help from penalties as well, a holding penalty, a false start penalty, but the Broncos also getting stuffs in the course of those stops when they need to as well. So you can't just simply say it was Texans' mistakes, as the Broncos and their D forcing the issue on the Texans as well. Now, the Broncos offense, most of the day stuck in neutral. Didn't run the ball effectively in the second half. Ran the ball effectively in the first half, but didn't run it often. Only 6 runs in the first 2 quarters, and then didn't run the ball effectively after halftime, but leaving it late. Getting it done in the fourth quarter. Bo Nix with 2 touchdown passes, one of them in the fourth quarter to R.J. Harvey, and then Bo getting it done with that scramble after a failed drive in the final moments that ended in a punt, getting another chance there in the final minute after the defense forcing yet another 3 and out from the Texans, and Bo taking off for that 25-yard scramble that got the Broncos into scoring range, launching what would be a chance for Will Lutz to get the game-winning field goal. It's the kind of moment that shows Bo Nix may have some of that it factor. Now, the social media debate rages over whether Bo Nix can still be a successful NFL quarterback. I mean, you've got nationally people dividing into 2 camps over whether he truly is a good NFL quarterback or not. But something that you can't quantify that goes beyond the numbers is the ability to get it done when it matters most. I put out there on social media early in the fourth quarter that this year his fourth quarter passer rating, was north of 110 after he threw that touchdown pass to R.J. Harvey, and then he got the 2-point conversion right after that. And then when you see he makes that decisive scramble, takes off, shows his legs, which we haven't seen as much of this season, but it's nice to see that he does have the chance to show off that club in his bag, shows, okay, the ability to get it done in the clutch. The it factor does count for something, as Cortland Sutton pointed out.
The guy has that it to him, that thing where, you hear it all the time, the it, and everybody's it is something a little different, but, his it is something special, and he finds a way, and he's a gamer. The dude shows up, and we know that when we have him back there, that we have a chance to win the game, and I think that's the most fun thing and confident thing to be able to have, is to know that, the guy back there is going to give us a chance to win the game, and that's what he does week in and week out.
So you feel good about Bo Nix getting it done in the clutch. You feel good about the Broncos' defense shutting down the Texans, the admittedly shorthanded Texans, of course. You don't feel so good about the special teams. Now, Jeremy Crawshaw had some good moments. He had a field flipper when you really needed it, when the offense was struggling, but you had a blocked field goal, Danico Autry doing what he does best, and you had a long punt return against you, and you had kind of procedural issues on special teams, something that Sean Payton pointed out after the game.
My concern was just the late subs. It was a little bit sloppy. in the kicking game. We'll get that cleaned up, or we'll find someone else that can do it.
And really, you have to look at the Broncos special teams on a whole and say it's been a disappointment. And today overall, probably the most disappointing game of all, even though you are talking about a walk-off field goal for Will Lutz. You had Michael Bandy filling in for Marvin Mims Jr. and muffing the punt, giving the Texans a free 3 points right there before the end of the first half. One of many mistakes the Broncos had to overcome today. I mean, it's testament to their grit, testament to that it factor that they got it done, but ultimately you've got to do more than that if you're going to ascend to the next level. That being said, the Broncos, they're happy where they are. You're 7-2. You're tied for the best record in the AFC. You have the number 2 seed in the postseason if it started right now. So there's a lot of reasons to feel good, and you can't take those 7 wins away. So there's a lot to be happy about. But if you want to really go to the next level, if you want to actually be that Super Bowl team, there are still things that have to be cleaned up. So that's why I think you take the middle ground on this one. Be pleased, if you're a Broncos fan, with this win, but understand that there's a lot of things that need to be cleaned up. You've got the Raiders on Thursday, the Raiders struggling. So, yeah, an effort like the one out here, probably good enough to get a win on Thursday night against your division rivals. An effort like the one out here in a fortnight against Kansas City may not get the job done. And certainly Super Bowl is what the Broncos in that locker room, they're talking about as their goal. It's within their reach, but they're going to have to clean some things up. But still, if you're cleaning things up while you're winning, that's pretty good. That's really what you want. 18-15, the Broncos get the job done here in Houston, their 6th win in a row, and it's a quick week, a short week, because it's Thursday night football against those Las Vegas Raiders on Thursday night. We'll have plenty of coverage, of course, at denversports.com and on Orange and Blue today. So check all that out. Cecil Lammy and I will be talking about all of it at 5 p.m. Mountain Time on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, of course. So until then, take care. Thanks for watching.